At 78 years old, Barry Gibb finally broke his silence and revealed the heartbreaking truth about his brother, Andy Gibb. For decades, fans only saw the glitter, the fame, and the soaring voices of the Bee Gees. But behind the music was a story of love, loss, and a bond between brothers that was tested by fame and tragedy. Barry's confession doesn't just honor Andy's memory, it exposes the pain he carried for years in silence. Born Barry Allen Crompton Gibb on September 1, 1946, in Douglas on the Isle of Man, Barry was destined for greatness. From a young age, his extraordinary gift for music set him apart. But while the world would come to celebrate his voice and his songwriting genius, few knew the personal struggles he endured, especially when it came to Andy. Now, with time and wisdom, Barry finally tells the story that changes everything we thought we knew about the Gibb brothers. His family recognized his innate talent and supported him as he began performing with his brothers, Robin and Maurice, ultimately leading to the formation of one of the most legendary groups in history, the Bee Gees. Their journey started modestly with small gigs in Australia during the 1950s, but their extraordinary talent quickly launched them into global fame. The Bee Gees experienced incredible success in the late 1960s and 1970s, establishing themselves as masters of harmony and innovators of the pop and disco genres. Barry, with his distinctive falsetto voice, emerged as the musical and creative force behind the group, often taking on the role of primary songwriter. He co-wrote and produced numerous hits not only for the Bee Gees but also for other iconic artists. Tracks like Staying Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, and Night Fever became classic anthems, epitomizing the Saturday Night Fever era and forever linking the Bee Gees to the cultural shift of the disco movement. Beyond disco, Barry Gibb's songwriting genius crossed various genres. He collaborated with artists such as Barbra Streisand, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Diana Ross, and Dionne Warwick, showcasing his versatility and knack for creating hits across pop, country, R&B, and adult contemporary music. Few songwriters in history have achieved his level of success. Barry is recognized as one of the most prolific songwriters ever, with over 1,000 songs penned and decades of chart-topping hits. His induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame underscores his lasting influence on the music industry. While Barry's professional journey was marked by achievements, his personal life was deeply connected to the joys and sorrows of family. The Bee Gees were more than just a band, they were brothers bonded by blood and music. The passing of his brothers Andy, Maurice, and Robin left Barry with profound sorrow, making him the last surviving Gibb brother. He has talked candidly about the anguish of outliving his siblings in numerous interviews. But by preserving their music for future generations, he has continued to pay tribute to their memory. He is a representation of tenacity in the face of loss because of his fortitude, dignity, and commitment to upholding the Bee Gees' legacy. In addition to his accomplishments, Barry has influenced millions of people all around the world with his ability to speak to their emotions. His stage presence radiated warmth and confidence, and his falsetto voice became one of the most iconic in music history. He performed with passion even after decades in the business, engaging both younger fans who were just discovering the Bee Gees' music and audiences who grew up with them. His enduring career and ageless talent demonstrated that great music never goes out of style. Like his work, Barry Gibb's personal life has been filled with key turning points, important relationships, and major accomplishments. He married Maureen Bates for the first time on August 22, 1966, when he was just 19 years old. Gibb was starting to make a name for himself as a musician at the time, and he was juggling the responsibilities of adulthood with the demands of his quickly developing profession. But their marriage didn't last long. Despite their first seeming commitment to starting a life together, Gibb's rising stardom and the demanding demands of being in the spotlight caused the union to falter. In the end, the couple only shared a brief residence until the marriage was formally dissolved in July 1970. This brief marriage is sometimes viewed as a pivotal moment in Gibb's personal development, emphasizing how challenging it was for up-and-coming celebrities to maintain stability amid the height of 1960s pop culture. Shortly after the dissolution of his first marriage, Barry Gibb met the lady who would become his true love thanks to fate. Gibb met Linda Gray, who at the time carried her fair share of glitz and fame as the former Miss Edinburgh, while filming the BBC's hugely popular music show Top of the Pops in London. Gibb characterized their encounter as an instance of genuine serendipity, and their romance swiftly blossomed. Barry Gibb and Linda Gray were married on September 1, 1970, which also happened to be his 24th birthday. This marriage has since grown to be one of the longest-lasting in the entertainment business. Their relationship has remained a pillar of Gibb's personal stability despite the upheavals of celebrity, shifts in the industry, and even the devastating death of his brothers. Barry and Linda created a big, close-knit family in addition to their marriage. Stephen, Ashley, Travis, Michael, and Alexandra are their 5 children, and they are proud parents. The wide range of musical influences in the Gibb family is demonstrated by the fact that their eldest, Stephen Gibb, followed in his father's footsteps and pursued a career in music, becoming a guitarist and songwriter and even playing with rock and heavy metal bands. With 7 grandchildren who have added to his happiness, Barry is also a grandfather many times over. Gibb has long discussed his wife and kids' grounding influence, attributing to them a sense of purpose and equilibrium amidst the sometimes overwhelming demands of celebrity. Barry and Linda maintained their UK citizenship while formally becoming US citizens in 2009, strengthening their ties to the US. This dual citizenship represented not just Barry's lifelong love of his British roots but also his dedication to the nation where a large portion of his adult life and career achievements had occurred. Barry kept a house in the UK as a connection to his heritage, but by this time he had mostly moved to the United States since 1974. The personal lives of Michael Jackson and Barry Gibb also touched on each other. Gibb spoke positively about his bond with the King of Pop in a 2014 interview with The Mirror. He disclosed that Jackson frequently stayed at the Gibb home in Miami because he liked the cozy atmosphere of Barry's family over the hectic hotel life. Gibb depicted Jackson's eccentric and innocent side while he sat in the kitchen and watched supporters outside his hotel on TV while giggling his well-known high-pitched giggle, hee hee. He remembered that just prior to the widely reported child molestation trial, Jackson even resided upstairs for a while. Gibb made it apparent that they never talked about the matter. Rather, their relationship was based on friendship and artistic cooperation. Together, they would compose music, drink wine, and occasionally even become so drunk that Jackson would nod off on the floor. Gibb acknowledged that he misses Jackson terribly, emphasizing the loss he experiences as a friend who knew Jackson more intimately than just as a follower of his work. In Gibb's life, real estate also had an intriguing part. He bought the old Hendersonville, Tennessee, home of Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash in January 2006, making it one of the most historically significant residences in American music history. In addition to owning the property, Gibb had plans to renovate it and turn it into a songwriting retreat where heritage and innovation could coexist. But the house ended tragically. A piece of cultural history was erased when the property caught fire and was totally destroyed in April 2007 while undergoing repairs. Gibb had a new house constructed on the grounds in spite of this tragic loss, paying tribute to the land and the musical soul that had formerly called it home. He ultimately made the decision to sell the estate in 2014, bringing an end to a business endeavor that had been filled with both hopes and disappointments. In a way he had never done before, Barry Gibb finally revealed the truth about his younger brother, Andy Gibb, at the age of 78. For many years, Barry, who had been both an older brother and a mentor, had kept his personal sorrows to himself, preferring to focus on Andy's remarkable talent and charisma whenever the topic came up. Barry gave himself permission to talk with uncommon vulnerability at a time when introspection and honesty are valued more than upholding meticulously constructed public facades. He recognized that his connection with Andy had always been characterized by a complex blend of pride, delight, regret, and grief. Andy Gibb was not merely the Bee Gees' baby brother. Barry saw him as a bright, promising youngster with a natural aptitude for singing and an easy charm. As soon as Andy started playing, Barry noticed glimmers of genius that were comparable to what he and his brothers had accomplished together. Barry was not only Andy's co-writer and producer when he released singles like, I Just Want to Be Your Everything and Shadow Dancing, but he was also his biggest fan, dedicating his own artistic energy to making sure Andy was successful. Andy was a natural-born star who could have ruled the international stage for decades, according to Barry, who frequently referred to him as the Gibb with the purest pop voice. Although millions of admirers adored Andy and he had a youthful smile, Barry recognized a vulnerability that few others observed. Andy's rapid ascent came too quickly, too early, and without the mental fortitude to handle it, Barry admitted at the age of 78. Barry acknowledged that he had been preoccupied with his brother's weakness, his need for affection, his desire for approval, and how the demands of celebrity exacerbated those fears. He clarified that Andy was exposed to the damaging temptations that came with celebrity since he was thrown into the spotlight before he had had a chance to fully develop into himself. The most difficult aspect of the story was not avoided by Barry. Andy's battle with substance abuse. Barry had discussed it warily for years, never wishing to minimize his brother's legacy to a warning. However, Barry later reflected on how heartbreaking it was to watch Andy fight his inner issues. He talked of the hopelessness he felt knowing that he would never be able to completely escape the hold of narcotics and the accompanying emotional pain, no matter how much love and support the family gave. Barry's truth was one of profound, enduring sadness rather than condemnation. He said that he had frequently questioned whether he could have done more, whether Andy's life would have been salvaged by a different form of leadership or more stern love. Barry was devastated when Andy died in 1988 at the age of 30. The pain of losing his little brother never really went away. He admitted at the age of 78 that despite all of the Bee Gees' victories, accolades, acclaim, and generation-spanning legacy, Andy's absence loomed silently over it all. Time seemed to bend in on itself every time Barry sang one of Andy's songs or heard his voice on tape, reminding him of what was gone too quickly. Barry, however, also revealed the reality of love that lived on after death. He talked about how the indestructible ties of brotherhood, music, and memory all kept Andy alive. Every note he sung, every phrase he composed, and every stage he walked on had Andy with him. In actuality, Barry stated, Andy was never only the younger sibling who was neglected. He played a crucial role in the Gibb family's history and influenced the very course of their lives. The renowned frontman of B.G., Barry Gibb, finally revealed feelings and realities he had kept hidden for decades in an honest and moving interview about his younger brother, Andy Gibb, at the age of 78. Andy was a shining star, but he struggled in ways that people didn't fully understand, Barry said in his reflections on his brother's life. Although he was talented and full of life, the demands of celebrity and the surrounding lifestyle were occasionally too much for him to handle. Barry claimed that it was only with time that he came to fully understand the lasting impact that Andy's untimely death at the age of 30 had had on his life. Barry said that Andy's death occurred 5 days after his 30th birthday, which should have been a time for celebration but instead turned into a time of sorrow. We had a fight just before his birthday, and I never thought that would be the last time I would see him alive, he recounted regretfully. I live with that every day. Barry's thoughts extended beyond the terrible last seconds. He talked about Andy's charisma, his musical prowess, and how his deep voice and innate charm captivated people. Barry explained that Andy had a unique quality. Something that may easily touch people's hearts. People adored him for his warmth, humor, friendliness, and character in addition to his singing. However, I wish I could have shielded him from the negative effects of fame more. The discussion also brought to light Barry's persistent sense of duty and shame as an older brother, which he characterized as both burdensome and inspiring. I always made an effort to mentor and encourage him. But when someone is battling their own issues, love isn't always enough, he said. Barry Gibb expressed both sadness and appreciation during the interview. He talked about his own recollections of Andy, including times when his brother's fun nature, his passion for music, and their close family ties were on full display. Prior to being musicians, we were brothers. Barry emphasized the tune turned into our language, but it turned into our family that described us. Dropping Andy so young was like losing a piece of myself. And it is something that in no way definitely is going away. In sooner or later sharing those thoughts publicly, Barry now not simplest venerated Andy's reminiscence, however additionally furnished a poignant glimpse into the human aspect of the Gibb family, a tale of affection, remorse, and enduring brotherhood. His reflections are a reminder of each the brilliance and fragility of lifestyles, and how even amidst reputation and achievement, circle of relatives and connection remain the most profound anchors of all. At 78, Barry Gibb's words were no longer sincerely a revelation approximately Andy, however a testimony to the iconic complexity of own family love. Unconditional, joyous, now and again heartbreaking, however continually eternal. For Barry, telling the reality about Andy become no longer pretty much putting the document straight. It become approximately eventually giving voice to the affection, the pain, and the unspoken reminiscences that had lived within him for nearly 4 many years.